Hi, Michelle Florendo here, and welcome to Ask a Decision Engineer. Listen in and find out how to untangle big decisions with less stress and more clarity. Sometimes it isn't the big decisions that get us stuck, but rather the seemingly small ones. Has that ever happened to you? Sometimes we feel like a decision is too small to be worth seeking someone out as a sounding board. But for whatever reason, that small decision is still difficult to tackle on our own. In today's episode, you'll hear a small business owner unpack a smaller decision that has been taking up a lot of brain space, in part because her head says one thing, but her intuition says another. Listen in. So tell me more. What is this decision that you've been wrestling with the past few hours?
Yeah. So what's really fun about this decision, I think for me, is that it's pretty small. Like it seems like a pretty small decision. Mm-hmm. And I think in a normal circumstances, and part of the reason why I really haven't talked to anybody about it is because I think we don't always talk to other people about the little decisions because we feel like, well, this is so small. Like I'm not going to talk to even a friend, much less a decision engineer about something tiny. But yet what I find, and I'm sure you see this in your work all the time, they're the things that like take up so much mind share. These little things, you're like, why? It's almost like a hangnail. Like I can't get rid of this little annoying, or like the mama in the background. It seems like it should be small until like you blow up. And that's the 1,000th tiny cut that just does it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought it'd be really fun because I'm always coming up with these small decisions that just take too much time and it's inefficient. Right. And this one in particular is about work. Okay. And I've made the decision recently. I had a huge, how do I say it? A huge fail, I guess, just to say it, it's a big fail. A project just didn't completely disintegrate, but like it kind of fell apart. Like I found out that it wasn't really set up the way I had asked it to be set up. It kind of fell apart and it's reparable. But sometimes when things big like that happen, I feel like it sort of sparks something in you, and it sparked something in me.
So many feelings here. Annoying little decisions, the 1,000th cut, until things blow up. Something happened here that sparked something in her.
And I started thinking, you know what? I think this is just the wrong platform. Like, I think it's time to go to a whole new platform where this issue won't happen again. Like something that's more stable, where it's not all these moving parts, something that's just easier to maintain and manage. And I thought about this last summer, got sidetracked for a number of reasons. And it came back to me. And I was like, I think I should move to a new platform. And so I think I've decided to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly sure, but I think I've decided to do that. So that's kind of like micro decision number one. Yeah. And micro decision number two is which platform do I use? And I've narrowed it down to two, and they're quite different and can't decide.
Okay.
So like I said, not life or death, not huge, but it's a pretty big determinant in how my business runs, for the next year, 2, 3 years. And so I want to make a smart decision that's well thought out. And I'm essentially challenging intuition, which I always go with. My intuition says, oh, I really like this. I like this one path. But my intellect is like, oh, but this has a lot more stuff. So,
Ah, the battle between the intuition and intellect. A common cause of feeling stuck. Even with the small decisions, sometimes the ones that are taking up a lot of brain space, like you said, are the ones where one part of us says something and then another part of us is feeling it a different way, right?
Totally.
So tell me more about what is it that your intuition is saying?
Yeah. So my intuition says, path number one says it's simpler. It feels calmer to me. It feels more peaceful. Okay. It's really, path number one really replaces, what I have is I have an online self-care studio, as you know, for new moms and moms in like an early motherhood, first few years of motherhood, that helps them learn how to be less stressed, be more resilient. And I have these programs. And so that's really the bulk, is like, I have this studio, but of course, as you know, you have the bulk of your work, the substance of stuff, but you also have the marketing and the emails and the other pieces. Mm-hmm. And so path number one is really do I want to move my studio from its current back-end platform to this one? So it's a pretty even exchange in a way, although it'd be much more stable and I think it'd be more beneficial. Path number 2 is it includes that substantive platform, but then it's like everything else all wrapped into it too. So it's that plus the marketing, plus the email, plus the webinars, plus everything else in that one platform. The whole shebang, yeah. And so the first one feels just a little bit simpler and calmer and not like the biggest change, I guess, because I would still be keeping some of my other platforms that I'm familiar with, and I'd be learning one, but I'd have to learn how to integrate them all, which is, mind share.
Yeah.
And then path number 2 is, okay, I can dump it all into this thing, this other path, and then I have to figure out how to use those things, which I think would be relatively intuitive. I don't think it'd be that difficult, but I'm still learning a new way to do kind of all these pieces. And it feels almost constrained too, because I don't know if I have the freedom with each of those pieces that I have. Having one big platform, I'm not sure if I have the freedom that I want versus having like 5 platforms that I can customize a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of forced to use the tools in the one platform, which could be great. I don't know. I can't get in there and check it out. And I can't really see what other people are doing because it's their proprietary work. They're not just going to say, like, come on in, check out all my programs, so you can make your decision. But so it's almost like I'm trying to compare apples and oranges, but I do need to choose something, because I don't want to invest in one and then a year later say, oh, redo it all and go somewhere else.
I always find it interesting to listen to how someone feels about the options they see, because it gives me insight into what someone cares about. It sounds like she is currently evaluating 2 options. One feels simpler, in a good way, and the other has more comprehensive features, which might make her life easier, but she thinks will have reduced options for customization in the way that she wants things. There are also some concerns about timeline. This is a decision that she wants to stand the test of time, especially because she has recently had an experience of something failing and needing to start from scratch. Well, I am curious about what you just mentioned, because earlier you identified that there are a few micro decisions in here. So first there was the micro decision of, do I stay with my current platform or not? It sounds like you passed that one. Yes, feeling like you need a change.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or at least it sounds like you're 80% there. And actually, let's dig into that. What is it that prompted that, even if it's not fully committed decision yet? What is it that prompted maybe it is time to change? Anything beyond fail?
Yeah, so that's so good. So a couple of things. I had the instinct to do it last summer, but I was exhausted from a launch, my first product launch. And it was interesting. It was kind of like it was a point in my business where like everything fell apart. All the programs fell apart. The technology was falling apart. I had consultants coming in and saying like, well, this isn't working, or that's not going well, or you have to replace this. And I think that at that point I decided, you know what, if we're going to start from ground zero, maybe I should just do something maybe I should make the investment in something that's going to help prevent this in the future. That was kind of my thinking back in July. And the long story short is the tech team at the time that I was working with, I mentioned it to them and they said, we think that's probably a good idea, but we've already done 50% of the work that we were contracted to do, and this is new. So why don't you think about it and let us know like later, because we're going to finish what we're doing. So they finished the platform that I'm currently working on, but it continues to have issues. And this past weekend, when the whole sales thing that I've been working on kind of fell apart for me, and I found so many things that I didn't like in the end result, and I realized like, oh my gosh, I got to start. I don't have to start over, but like it was kind of the same, almost PTSD, like, oh, this was the same thing that happened the last time. And so I think I just, I was laying in bed and I was upset about like, oh, I've got to hire a developer now to fix this and fix that. And I was just like, you know what? What about that platform? Like maybe I should just go back to that. And I had put it off, not only because of, my whole team and didn't agree, but I put it off also because I think money was a big part of it. And in my mind, I thought, oh, well, the program will launch. It'll, I'll make enough of a profit so that I can afford to make this bigger shift. Okay. So I'll do that. I'll do it kind of the smart way, the way that, we're trained to do it, the safer way. And I was supposed to launch the project tomorrow, which isn't going to happen. So I have to kind of push that back again. And I haven't made the profit that I wanted to cover this expense. But I think as I was lying in bed on Sunday at 2:30 in the morning and couldn't sleep, I thought, well, maybe I would make the money like once I did this shift. Like, why am I waiting to invest in this thing that could be so much better for me and for my customers? You know, why am I holding back? And so I stopped holding back. I stopped letting that be a barrier. And this is a really important thing for me in my own, informal decision making. And even sometimes when I'm working with my own clients, is to say, if money were no object, what would your decision be? And so I asked myself that, and it was like, well, of course I would do this platform like that. Of course I would do it. And then I did the math next day and realized, like, by the time I pay the developer and everything else, it is the same price. So like, why would I, like, it's the same price as what I'm already paying. So I thought, okay, so yes, I am 90% there. And the tech guy that I used also thought, he thought a little bit on the fence, but he says, I think that this could probably work if it's what you want, and it'll be more stable. But then going to the apples and oranges and deciding between path 1 and path 2 becomes another decision for me. And I don't know if it's a real barrier or if it's a barrier that I'm making up because I'm scared to make the change.
One of the things I find so interesting in her retelling of the story of how she arrived at this decision to switch platforms is how she treated her feelings around money. She noted for herself that there are some feelings there around the spending of money, and so she removed money as an objective to examine how she felt about how this option would deliver against the other things she cared about. And then once she did that, she went back and did the calculations around the money piece and found that it actually was a viable option.
So I'm just making stuff up, you know what I mean?
Because
making it more complicated.
As you had just indicated, even in this decision, like, should I stay on my current platform or change? You had two different opportunities to make that decision. Like, it's something that came up last summer, and then this is happening again. And it isn't as if the decision that you made last summer locked you into this certain path that you can't revisit.
No. And I forgot one. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I forgot one other thing. The developer of the system I currently use, I got an email. He sent it to everybody like 2 weeks ago saying that he's doing a totally different thing now. And there will still be support, like tech support for it, but he's not going to do it anymore. He's not even selling it anymore. So to me, as the person who uses it, it's like, well, that's not going to ever be updated again. Like, that's like, at some point I have to switch at this point. Like, maybe I could use it for a little while, but nobody wants to use a platform that's not going to be updated on a regular basis, and the technology is not going to necessarily keep up, and the third-party integrations may not work, and you know what I mean? So I've been really happy with it in a lot of ways, but moving forward, really thinking, towards the future, not so sure. And with the kids and everything else, like, it'd be nice to just go onto a platform where somebody else is dealing with the hosting and, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in everything that you just shared, even though you're saying, like, I think I'm leaning towards the switch, not quite sure. It seems like a lot of the things that you mentioned do support that choice. Whether it's, you're finding yourself in the same situation as before where things weren't working, but now there's fewer barriers standing in the way of you being able to make the switch, whether it's financially, and then there's actually even this added reason, since functionality is something that's really important to you. Seems like not only will it be easier to maintain, but the old option's not going to be supported at the same level before. So for micro decision number 1, seems like all things seem to point towards, okay, switching platforms. And so back to the decision that you said has been keeping you awake for the past 2 days. All right. So
my kids have been keeping me awake, but that's certainly been part of it. Yes. This has been part of it.
Hashtag mom life.
Mm-hmm.
And so you laid out, there's the option of, just transferring the substance of your program onto this platform. And then there's kind of what I'm going to call the whole shebang option, where not only is your program there, but all the marketing, like all of the things all in one. Before I recap some of the objectives, or like the things that I heard you talk about, which signal to me what you care about, wanted to go back to, is there a reason why, I guess Is the decision to go the whole shebang route something that can only happen now, or can it also be a decision made in the future? For those of you keeping track, she had said there were two decisions she was weighing: whether to switch platforms, and then if so, which platform to switch to. We've already worked through the decision around whether to switch platforms, and so now we're exploring the elements of the second decision to try to uncover what's prompting this decision to take up so much of her mind share.
It could be made in the future.
Okay.
It could
and
be.
then if it could
The difference, I think, is that for either path, I'm locked in for a year.
Okay.
So there's that. So either path, I'm locked in for a year. So if I try the first one and think, okay, this is a nice shift, and I do that for a year, but now I'm ready for everything else, I could certainly switch after a year, but I'd have to switch platforms, which essentially means telling those customers, especially the existing ones, for a second or a third time even, okay, now you have to create a new login. It can be done. It can be done delicately, but I prefer to not switch too many times.
It's not just like platform A stripped down and then the whole shebang is platform A with all.
They're two separate companies, totally separate companies.
Okay.
I wish it was like an upgrade program. That would be awesome. Okay. We would be having no call. But yeah, so no, they're completely different companies. They're competitors.
Okay.
And I mean, they're kind of competitors in a way, but I even talked to a representative from Path One today, and she was like, they're different. She's like, they do this other part better. Like, that's what they focus on. And we focus on the actual experience that your customers get when they come to do your program. She's like, that's just what we do. Mm-hmm. So that's a piece of what they do. Yeah. And they do a lot of other things, but this is what we do. And I have the impression it's a smaller, operation. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I have a friend who's on it, and she's been quite happy.
And so
it's hard to say.
All right. So that was good clarification in terms of not just like an upgrade plan. This really is mm-hmm. two different providers. And so some of the things that I heard you mention that you care about that are kind of like driving the decision between the two, or even from the original microdecision, is functionality. You care very much about the experience that your clients have on the platform. I also heard ease of use and maintenance.
That's right. Ease and functionality are big.
Right.
And beauty. That's the third one, beauty. Okay. Making sure it's beautiful. And that's hard because that's one of the things about path number 2. Like what I've seen so far, like from their website and from their marketing, it's not at all my brand. I think that's part of it. I hadn't thought about it until I just said that out loud, right? Through talking, what do they say? Through talking, we hear what we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first path is much more on brand, even just going onto their website for me. It's very clean. It's open. It's simple. It's a lot of white space. The second one is just a bit more like a lot of black and bold and color. And I think I'm just like, we could customize it. I'm sure customize certain things, but I think part of it is like my initial interaction is, I'm not getting, it doesn't feel like what I create. And I also can't see any examples of people who use it, who create what I create in a way. Like none of the people, like their testimony, it just doesn't look like people's work, just doesn't look like mine. So I think I think that could be a barrier where maybe I'm not being creative enough, or not really sure.
Okay.
But yeah, beauty is important.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually building out a decision matrix. So basically,
cool.
Path 1, path 2, across the top, those are the columns, and then down the left-hand side, I'm listing just some of these things that you care about: functionality, ease of use and maintenance, beauty, consistency with brand, and then also another thing you mentioned was like freedom for customization. Yeah,
that's huge. And I know that Path 1 offers that because I talked to them about it, and Path 2 I'm pretty sure does too, but I'm not exactly sure. And this actually could be the deal breaker. I know that they offer something called it might be theme customization, that I think gives you total freedom, but that package is way out of the price range that I would be willing to pay.
Okay.
Like it literally, it's like twice the amount of what I would normally, like twice the package that I'm considering. So that's not worth it. That doesn't even feel good anymore.
Did you notice what just happened? She acknowledged that there is another option, a version of option 2, the whole shebang option, that she's not even considering. If you ever realize that there's an option that you aren't willing to touch, that is good data on what objectives matter to you and what are the thresholds you want options to fall within in order for them to be viable.
Right. And also in freedom for customization, there was also that piece around beyond moving just the core elements of your program to these technologies. There's also those other parts. And I think you mentioned, even though path number 2 may be winning out from ease of use because they may also handle all of these other things all in one, the whole shebang. You may not be able to execute it the way that you want.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
I just want to call out that this is perhaps the 3rd or 4th time she has said, "I don't know," when exploring to what degree the second option, the whole shebang option, can deliver against her objectives. We have talked through her objectives, we have clarified the options she is considering, but I wonder whether it's this information piece of the decision that has got her stuck.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay, so
I'd have to go in there and check it out. And they both say, oh, you can try it for 30 days. It's like, well, thanks. But then I have to set it up 2 different places and pay my guy to like create the website 2 different times, you know. So I'm still paying a developer, you know, to go in there and make these changes. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you were to fill these in, so basically in each cell in this matrix, I have a circle. And the goal is to fill the circles in to the extent that it like totally fulfills that need. And so from a program functionality perspective, are path 1 and path 2 on par? Do they both get you what you need, or?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that they do.
All right.
I'm 90% sure about these answers because I just don't know the platforms that well, but I would say 90% yeah.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this coaching conversation was witnessing how we brought both her intuition and intellect into the light. So often, I see people rely more on their intellect simply because it is easier to talk about. However, there are valuable insights that come from tuning into one's intuition. Intuition often comes up as a feeling, yet you can use the structure of the 3 components of a decision to unpack what it is that your intuition is telling you. Is it giving you insights into what objectives are important? What options are off the table? What options are more attractive? Is it shining a light on the gap between the level of information you want and the level of information you have collected so far?
Well, we make the best decisions we can with the information we have, or at least identify
That's right.
there are big gaps that would make a difference.
Totally.
About them. All right. And then, so ease of use and maintenance. When you think about the goal of where you want to be when it comes to the upkeep and the maintenance of, and I'm going to call it all the different parts, not just your program, because you are thinking about, from a business perspective, everything that you need to be doing to make sure things are not falling apart in the way that prompted this whole kind of reevaluation of systems. To what degree does path 1 get you there? Halfway, 3/4 of the way, pretty much.
For all of the systems that I have?
Yeah.
I would say it's 50%.
Okay.
I would say it's about 50. I mean, it takes care of a big portion of my work, but then I do still have to continue the other parts and integrate it into that system.
And then when you're thinking about path number 2, how far does it get you there?
I feel like I would say 100% because it has all the tools, but then I have this fear, right? The fear comes in of like, but what if that tool doesn't actually work very well once you get in there? Like, how do you know it really does what you want it to do? I don't really know. I'm taking a risk and trusting, you know, without getting in there and trying everything out for 30 days, which I really didn't want to have to do. I'm not really going to know, because that's basically doing your job on your current platform, but it's also doing your job 2 more times on different platforms, like within the same 30 days. So, you know, add that to motherhood and like you literally never sleep.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to separate those 2. I'm going to reframe this objective as ease of use and maintenance, assuming it's doing what you want. And then the one around like does it work the way that I want specifically
Mm-hmm.
as a
Mm-hmm.
separate one?
Okay.
Let's see. From the beauty perspective, you mentioned path one, definitely on brand. It's there.
Yeah. But you know what I was just thinking? As I'm, because of course, as you talk, I'm hearing things. In my mind, I switched them for a moment, and I thought about their websites, and then I switched the name of either one. And I was kind of into the second option too. I was kind of like maybe I'm just kind of being a slave to marketing, and like maybe they're just doing a really good job, like with their testimony. Like they have a lot of like women testimonials and people of color, and just like I said, a lot of very clean, open designs. Like and they have a lot of information without it being overwhelming. So I feel like I really understand. Mm-hmm. The other one, it's like you just don't have much information. It's here's our plans, here's our pricing, here are testimonials, and I want to get in there and really dig in and see demos of things, and I can't do that with them. And also I tried to call Path 2 today, and it was like, well, set up a sales call in 3 days, and it's like, yeah, I can, but I really want to make this decision now. Right. You see, so there's a little bit less, whereas the other one I was able to get them on the phone. You see? So I'm sorry that your question is about beauty. So I want to answer it, but it just occurred to me that was probably important information.
Yeah. Well, because it seems like there's, let's see.
Big question mark.
Yeah, I put a question mark.
I like that question mark. Yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling.
Right. And so let's look at the last one. So, the tool works the way that you want it to. Like it does it the way that you want it to. And you already mentioned there's a little bit of question mark there for Path 2.
There is.
How is it for Path 1?
It's funny because I don't feel like I know much more about them, but my instincts say like, yeah. My instincts say it'll do what I want it to do. And I think that's because it's a smaller piece. I'm not asking it to do my programs and my webinars and my email, and you know what I mean? Like I'm not putting all those eggs into that one basket and saying, do all of it. For me, it's a little bit like, I'd love my husband to do everything, but I mean, that's why I have girlfriends. Like, there's just some conversations. He's gonna be like, what happened to that birth that you were talking about? That's great, honey. Like, he doesn't want to hear about that, but my girlfriends might really want to hear about it. You know what I mean? Can I put all those things into that one person or that one basket? There's something about that feels unsettling to me. But I think it's the answer for so many people. And maybe that's where I'm getting caught of like, everybody else seems to love this, but why does it make me feel a little, not sure. Like it should be the answer to all of my problems, right? Like it's what I've kind of been asking for. I want to stop integrating things at like a one-stop shop. But now I have this option. And it's like, what if you can't do all the things I want you to do? Or if it doesn't look the way I want it to look? Or
It's interesting because it seems like in mapping this out, it definitely seems like there's question marks. There's kind of like
a lot of question marks there, right?
Information to really feel good about Path 2. And so I'm wondering, and you mentioned, it might take some time, like the 30-day trial and then an investment and getting your tech team to try it out and all of that stuff to be able to get that information. And so the question that comes up for me is, how valuable is that information? Is it worth the cost of resolving those question marks? Or would you be okay going with the decision that, feels good given the information you have right now, and then reevaluating things in a year?
I don't think I'll make a decision about it. I don't think I can make a decision about it today. When I buy anything, like even if I go into a shop, I will spend like a good deal of money on something, but I have to like really love it. Like I don't like to just buy stuff. Like I really like to like, that coat, right? That I want that. And it doesn't matter if it's like $20 or if it's $200, but like, I really want to fall in love with it. And I think I keep expecting to feel that with like software, but no software is perfect. So I think I just kind of waiting to be in love with one of them. And you're right. There is a lack of information. One of the things that it would be very helpful for me is to maybe understand through the context of decision making, the rush that we feel. Got to make a decision right now. Like, do I really have to make a decision today? Like I've already postponed the launch. I already can't launch my product. So is it that bad if I make a decision like in a week or two? It feels suffocating.
It feels suffocating. Bingo. This is what has been keeping her up at night. There's a push and pull between her desire to make a decision now, but in order to make that decision, she wants to be very clear about loving the option she is going with. However, she just isn't there right now. There are a lot of unknowns, which could possibly be resolved with a bit of investment, which up until now she hasn't been willing to make. So, the micro decisions here are really about, 1, how might she cultivate her ability to be in the tension? And 2, what investments are worth making to resolve some of the unknowns?
So how do you work through that when you're making decisions?
Yeah. Well, it's because we as humans sometimes have trouble just sitting with the tension. Right? Being able to make a decision provides that rush of resolution. Of like, okay, moving forward, right? And I think what's interesting in decision making is that everyone has their own personal thresholds for how much information do they need, and how much tension can they sit with. And for some people, the tension kills them. And for them, it may be worth it to forego the information to resolve the tension right now. For others, they may be willing to sit with the tension a little longer to either gather more information or see how certain uncertainties play out to then, like make the decision based on that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because I've had variations of this particular problem between like current setup and leaving setup for at well over a year. Like I know it absolutely started at least a year ago. And I'm always like, eventually I'll do it. Like eventually I'll get there. And I think the tension has kind of hit this critical, like I'm a pretty patient and resilient person, but once it does hit a spot, it's like, oh, been doing this a long time now. Like this didn't just come up a week ago, So that makes a lot of sense. The fact that this decision has been on the back burner for so long, and then finally reached a point of now it's just too uncomfortable.
Right.
I mean, I find that at least, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say is sometimes, because I think you also asked like how do we deal with that? Sometimes it can be useful to think about your future self. Because outside of this decision of which platform you want to go with, it seems like there's a decision of how much information do you need before you can make a decision that you can live with for the next year.
Yeah.
And so
I'm a researcher. Yeah, I'm a researcher. I'm one of those people that it's funny. I make intuitive decisions, but I like to have a lot of information anyway. I really like a balance of those two things. And I've never been able to inform myself so much to go the opposite direction of my intuition, but I like my information to support you know what I mean? Like, I really do like that too. Yeah. And I think that, I think that's part of the issue is that I feel intuitively one way, but I'm not finding enough information to necessarily support it. And so I have to, I think, dig a little bit deeper and get more of the information and then maybe feel it out. Because if I look at path one and say the things that I really like are the beauty and the feel and the space around it, I mean, I could go with the second path and have those same things. I've been amazed at seeing how designers can go into a website and choose a theme. And then by the time they're done, you have no idea what theme it is. Like it looks so different because they've changed so much of it.
I mean, it seems like the big question is, how much information do you need to bring your intellect and your intuitive self into harmony with this decision?
I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's probably a little bit more than I know now. I think I'd like to know how the programs work. I think that's probably the most important thing for me, is how all these programs really work and whether I want to be locked into one system. I like freedom. I feel like with path one, I feel like I got a lot of freedom. And path two, I feel more like constraint.
Okay. And so it's funny, on these calls, I never promise that you will have absolute clarity by the end of
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
hour call or so. But do you
Yeah,
feel like
absolutely.
you have a little bit more clarity on where you want to focus your attention?
I do. I feel like I'm going to wait until Wednesday till I have call with Path 2.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be really informative. But I think the most valuable thing for me was the reminder of the tension that comes with decision making.
Yeah.
And the reminder that like, you think you can't wait another day, like you think you can't do it, but you can.
Mhm.
You can if it's going to give you the result that you're looking for.
Right.
You know, and so much of that I do, and in my work of, you know, helping moms with their babies, it's like, gosh, you think some days you wake up and like, I cannot do this one more day.
Yeah.
And then you do, you know, like you find a way. And that's kind of how it feels. It's like, oh, I can, and trusting like for the next 48 hours, like maybe that does give me more time to do a little more research or talk to some people who've used it or check out some designs or take the time off and not do it for 24 hours and then come back to it on Wednesday with a fresh set of eyes and say, oh, these are my questions, and make a decision after that. So yeah, I think that it gives me a real clear way to go, and I'll be able to make a final decision afterwards. Thank you.
There are 3 key things that I hope you take away from this episode. Number 1, if you find yourself torn between your intellect and your intuition, bring your intuition and feelings into the light. In other words, lean in and determine what data your intuition and feelings can provide to your intellect so that you can get all parts of you on the same page. Second, if you find that there's a particular objective that triggers an emotional reaction that may overshadow your rational thinking, such as feelings about money, set that objective aside to look at the decision with a clear lens and then bring it back into consideration later. Third, if you have information gaps, examine what is the value of gathering additional information and whether it is actually worth making that investment. And if it is worth it to make that investment, explore how you can get comfortable with the tension that you'll experience until you're able to resolve some of those unknowns. Your head and your heart need not battle it out. When you make space to bring both types of thinking into the picture, you'll leave with a much clearer picture of how to move forward. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you heard something today that you found helpful, please share this episode or write a review. Also, if you're interested in more resources on how to make decisions with less stress and more clarity, go to askadecisionengineer.com to sign up for the mailing list. I'll be teaching a class on decision analysis and emotional awareness in a few months, and my email list subscribers will be some of the first people who get updates on that. Again, this is Michelle Florendo from Ask a Decision Engineer. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.